In this video, we're going to take a look at an endpoint that I've created for adding new users. Now, I've just got the basics done for this one. I haven't added any authentication or any other juicy stuff that we're going to be doing in this module together. Now, you may recall in the third module that we set up this user model here, including the validation. And you'll see I've also now added a new router file at server routes users here. And I've also added a new controller file at server controllers user. So we'll take a deeper look at those in just a moment. Now I've also gone ahead and added the user's route here into the Express server. So I've made it so that any user routes that we add will be prefixed with users, exactly the same way that all our item routes here are prefixed with the path items. Okay, so let's go over to our controller now. And the method that I've created is called create. So this is the method that will be used to create a new user. So how it works is the client is going to send the user name, email, and password as JSON in the body of a post request. And you can see that we pass rec.body directly to the user's model. Next, here in the try block, we're going to try and save that user model. And if it succeeds, we'll send the user's details back to the client. Now, if the save fails, which it would do if model validation fails, for example, we want to send a 400 bad request status back. And we're also going to send the error object back in the response body as well. That way the client can then pass the error object to find out why it is that the request failed. Let's now take a look at the user router file. And I've only partially created this one, so we'll complete this now. Now at the top, we're requiring Express, and then we create a new instance of the Express router. And we're also requiring the user's controller up here as well. And finally, we're exporting the router so that it can be used in the main server script. So to complete the post user's endpoint, let's now go ahead and call router and add our first route by calling the route method. And we're going to pass in the route path to this one, which will be, keep in mind, that's going to be mapped to the user's path. Now, in order to create a new user, we want the client to make a post request. So we'll use the post method. And we're going to pass in this new controller method that we've made, which is user's controller create. Let's now do a smoke test with Postman. So we're going to create a new request, and we're going to call this one post users. So let's go ahead and save that to our collection. Now, obviously we need to set this to post, and the URL that we want to use for this one is going to be the URL variable /users. Now what we want to do is add a body, and make sure you select the raw type, and we'll set the content type to JSON. Now for our smoke test, we need to provide some valid data here. So that means a name that's at least 2 characters long. So I'm just going to put Anthony. And we'll need an email that's valid as well. So I'm just going to put test1@test.com. And finally a password. And remember that that needs to be at least 6 characters long. So I'm going to put test12344. So make sure your server is running, and let's now send this request off. So you can see that we get a 200 status, and we can see the user's details in the response body. Now if we keep the data the same and send off the same request again, you'll see that this time we get a 400 bad request status. And if you look at the error object that gets sent back, you can see why. So the problem is that we've got a duplicate email here. So we've violated the unique constraint on our model. Now in this case, this is a good thing because it confirms that our validation is working like it should. All right, so let's save this Postman request now. And with that, we can see that our post users route works now, but we still have a whole bunch of things that we want to add to it. For example, we want to hash our passwords rather than store it in plain text. And we'll also need authentication headers, which is going to be the topic of the next few videos.